Hi, I'm Jason Alcott, author of the upcoming book, The Sewing Principle. And today I want to talk about those moments where you kind of just like a facepalm moment where you're like, why did I forget that? Or how come I didn't think of that? But before we do, if you haven't already hit the opportunity to hit the subscribe button below, please do. It really helps to get the video out there. And if you get through the video and you're feeling encouraged, please hit the thumbs up so that it can be shared. Obviously, comments are always welcome, and then I look forward to your feedback. So I was born in the 80s. When in the 80s, I don't really think is important to clarify, but let's say it's earlier in the 80s. And I feel like I'm fairly comfortable around technology. I'm generally okay with computers, software. If there's something going on, I can generally figure it out. But in this particular case, I'd ordered something online and it was coming, and I was having a hard time connecting it with my devices. I just couldn't get it to connect, and I'm emailing back and forth with their support company, and they're giving me all these things to try. And finally, they send me this email and they're like, "Have you restarted your computer?" And I'm like, I didn't even try that step. And when I'm helping people with sort of technical or software problems or things aren't working, especially if they aren't linking up, the first thing I say is like, "Have you restarted your computer?" That's the one that I always go to kind of help somebody. And it was funny that it kind of came to me and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? And it was this sort of pause moment where I had to go, step back, rethink, start over, get back to the basics. And it really got me thinking about how I do that in my daily life, or what causes me to maybe miss that trigger sometimes as I walk through my daily life. So I find that there's really two circumstances as to when I kind of maybe am getting off track, that I need that reminder to go back to the basics, to go back to those initial steps. The first one is when I get overwhelmed or stressed, or maybe I've got a lack of sleep, and all of a sudden I'm just sort of rolling along, but some of the things that I normally are doing, or seeds that I'm sowing on a daily basis, have started to slip off. So I'm a little bit tired. So I'm not spending time every day in devotions, or I'm not spending time reading my Bible every day. Or I find when I get tired, I start to make poor eating choices. So I make poor decisions about what I'm going to eat every day, which alternatively affects my health. Or when I get really tired or busy, I'll then push off like getting physical activity. So working out or going to the gym or whatever those things are. And I need a trigger to kind of bring me back to that basic step of just taking the initial things that I know are going to push me forward in the right direction. It's just like that moment where you just need to be like, click, I need to restart the computer. I need to go back and think about this. I talk about a story in my book. There was a point in my life where my wife and I were looking at houses, and we were trying to determine, what was going to be the best next step for our family. And things were happening very quickly, and it was actually, I found it to be quite stressful. It was kind of challenging to make decisions. And as we got closer and closer to a specific weekend where we ended up having to make a really big decision about where we were going to live, it was interesting as I stopped and looked back and reflected on that weekend that I actually pushed away some of the most important and critical things that I needed to have as a foundation when I was trying to make big decisions. My prayer life dropped right off. I didn't read my Bible or do devotions over that weekend. And it was super interesting. We totally skipped church that Sunday. And it was like, in a moment when we needed God the most, because he's foundational and helps me to make decisions, it was like I walked away. And I was like, man, that was, I really got to watch and be careful and conscious of when I'm feeling a sort of stress and overwhelm, that I keep those foundational things in place, because God's at the center and he wants to speak to me. He wants to help me. But if I don't ask for his help, he can't help me, right? So it was sort of this moment and a reminder of like, I needed to reset. I needed to make sure that I had my foundation in place so that I could walk through those moments with Christ, speaking to me, talking with me, and walking me through those moments. But if I don't have that foundation in place, how can he help me? The other circumstance I find where my daily sewing habits might start to slip is actually when things are going really well, when I'm in a positive moment, or like a great example is when you've been working out, eating really well, and you're starting to see and feel the positive effects, but then all of a sudden you start to eat maybe slightly differently because you're feeling really good about the success that you've had. There's nothing wrong with celebrating that success, but are you allowing it to slip to become a worse habit? Or I find, when things are really nice and I'm off like on vacation and I'm like, I'm on vacation, so I can let some of those things slip. Well, what are you letting slip? Like reading my Bible isn't something that should slip because I'm on vacation, or devotions or anything like that. It's sort of when you get out of some of those routines, but you're starting to feel good. You feel this elevated place and you sort of relax. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We all need to relax, but what are you relaxing? What are you relaxing from? And what do we need to be able to keep as positive things that move forward? I remember very specifically there was a time in my life where I was I was really diligent about reading affirmations in the morning. And I did this for quite a long period of time. I don't remember exactly how long, but I remember a day specifically looking in the mirror after having read the affirmations, and I was like, man, this is really helping me. It's helping me develop confidence. I was feeling really good. It was showing up in my work. It was showing up in my relationships with people. And I'm like, man, this is really important. I really need to make sure that I continue to do this, to read these affirmations in the morning, to kind of feel this confidence and be able to walk forward positively through days. And then I remember waking up a couple of years later and being like, I'm not doing the affirmations anymore. And what's changed? What's shifted? But I never had that trigger to reset sort of as I walked through those days. And it wasn't a fast thing. It wasn't like I woke up and just didn't do it one day. It slowly started to fall off, and it slowly started to fall off. And full transparency, I make mistakes every day. I'm still not back on a daily course of reading those particular affirmations every day. And I'm looking at it going, why am I not doing this? I know that it uplifts and encourages me. I know that it helps to create that foundation so that I can be a more confident person in who God's calling me to be, so that I can help more people. So why am I not doing it? And it's super interesting, but I just take that pause, ask the question. I don't beat myself up about it. I just know that I've got the opportunity to pick up the ball again today, tomorrow, whatever it is. And I'm often encouraged by my parents and things like that. And they always say, if you're going to slip in a habit, just don't slip 2 days in a row. So I always find that really encouraging. I can't do anything about the past, but I can do something about the present. If we're talking about reading your Bible and you haven't read your Bible yet today, it doesn't mean that you get to start again tomorrow. You can still go read your Bible today. The day is not over. Or if you haven't done your devotions or whatever it is. But don't slip 2 days in a row and don't beat yourself up about it. I've always found that really to be encouraging. Tomorrow you get the opportunity to pick the rock back up and you move forward, because you know that those foundational things are going to allow you to step forward into what God's called you to. And when we can put them in and put those, they're not even big rocks. We just put in these little rocks, little things that we need to be sowing into each and every single day, that when you wake up 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how God speaks into my life. I can't believe how he works in my marriage. I can't believe the incredible opportunities that he's putting in front of me for work, or relationships, or friendships, or health. And it's these little tiny things that we do daily. And if we keep those things up, even when we're up and in the positive space, we're just gonna be able to move forward and move more into God's will and what it is that he wants and calls us to do. So I hope that encourages you. I really look forward to the opportunity to share the Sowing Principle with you, the book. If you're looking forward to reading the book, it's coming out in the fall. I don't have an exact date yet, but please head over to jasonalcott.com. There's an opportunity there for you to enter your email address to sign up to be kept up to date with when the book's coming out. I can't wait for that opportunity to share it with you. I look forward to sharing the next video with you as well. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.